Oh, I don't know what you're going to do. We'll see all this happy.
You got that on for it. Okay.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Can I get rid of this?
Yeah.
You know, that thing that I was wearing, that's more than just a literal mask. It's a metaphor. It's a symbol. It's a symbol for trying to shut us down and keep us quiet, make sure that we're not seen or heard. If we can get used to wearing those literally, we can get used to wearing them figuratively. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So first of all, I'm going to talk about Felissa and her event at the end. But at the beginning, let's give Felissa and her event an enormous round of applause. If I were a cheerleader, I'd say a little bit louder. I work with Jeff Webb, who invented the sport of cheerleading. A little bit louder. Jeff's gonna be so proud of me. Look what I just did. All right. So, and do pay attention to us at Human Events. We have some great stuff going on. We've got Will Chamberlain. We've got Jeff Webb. We've got Jack Posobiec. We've got Charlie Kirk, who I think might just be able to save Western civilization. At least that's what I'm hoping. When Felissa asked me to speak here tonight, I thought, well, this is a challenge for me. I'm used to speaking indoors and doing things that make people think and ask questions, and we have give and take conversations, right? Well, that's not something you can do at an event like this. So I thought, well, what will I do? How will I pull this off? And I thought, well, it's the 4th of July, so we've got a theme. And I thought, there's still a way to get people to think a little bit. And then I also thought that when I speak to people, the most common response I have is they say, thank you, you told me things that I can actually do, and you made sense to me. So I thought, great, I'm always telling people what they can do. I thought I would stand here tonight and tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a pledge to you tonight, a pledge that tomorrow will be printed in Human Events that you can share, but it's also a pledge that I would like you to maybe make with me, okay? Now, I have given talks all over the country on over 30 different topics. I have never in my life read a speech. Never. It's the first time. But there's a reason for it. So I want you to bear with me while I practice the lost art of reading aloud. And I want you to join me in what I think is a new document for a new time that I want to share with you, and then I want you to share with the world. Here we go. First, a preamble. It was 245 years ago that a brave group of American colonists sent what was effectively a legal complaint to the King of England. Inspired in part by the English jurist William Blackstone, the complaint contained a list of the colonists' grievances and then demanded their independence as a sort of compensation for damages. The citizens' complaint is commonly known as the Declaration of Independence. We celebrate July 4, 1776 as our nation's birthday. It is not, in the strictest sense, the date of our birth, nor is it even the actual year. Depending upon how you choose to define it, our nation was actually born either in 1787, when the Constitution was signed, 1788, when it was ratified, or 1789, when the first Congress convened. What should we call July 4th, 1776? Well, it's the day we got pregnant. What followed was a long and bloody path towards liberation and birth. Today, the Declaration of Independence is one of, if not the most cherished American documents. Its language is inspiring, and it reminds us of the incredible courage shown and the price paid by those who risked and gave all in order to secure for us the gift of freedom. It is a foundational part of our history, but it is not part of our present. We are no longer a distant colony living under the rule of an unreasonable king. We won our freedom, wrote a constitution, and built a new nation. Using the greatest ideas from the Enlightenment, our founding fathers started us on a path that led us to become the greatest nation in the history of Western civilization. We won our independence, but now we suffer under a new sort of tyrant. We find ourselves bound by the invisible chains of codependence. We are not being ruled unreasonably by others. Instead, we are unreasonably letting ourselves be ruled by the need to appear caring and helpful in supporting, perpetuating, and enabling the irresponsible and destructive behavior of our fellow citizens who are determined to fundamentally transform the tenets of Americanism. It is therefore once again time for a statement to be made and for lines to be drawn. We cannot find the strength to restore our republic if we cannot first find the strength to set our own minds, bodies, and consciences free. It is time to formally and publicly decline to remain codependent. So I offer to you the American Declination of Codependence. It reads as follows. When in the course of human events, you gotta love human events. Just saying, okay. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for a group of people who believe in the laws of nature and in nature's God to dissolve the codependent bands that to their own great detriment have connected them to others, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should list the actions they intend to take in separation and rebellion. Let it first be clear, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all Americans are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator and have codified in their Constitution certain inalienable rights. These include the right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and the right to act as we choose insofar as we do not compel others to act as we choose. That these rights have gradually eroded both through public seizure and voluntary surrender, and that to continue to allow those rights to be denied to us by others, or worse, to voluntarily surrender our rights for the sake of and in appeasement to others is immoral. Since our present circumstance has become destructive towards the above-mentioned truths, it is the right of the American people to abolish the current state of affairs and institute a new order based upon self-understanding, self-respect, self-confidence, self-determination, and self-preservation. History has shown that people are more disposed to suffer and stay silent while evils are sufferable than they are to stand up and fight back on behalf of themselves. With respect to their position vis-a-vis others, they are inclined to be governed and inhibited by three types of fear. See if these sound familiar. The fear of losing something they think they have, the fear of not getting something they want, and the fear of not being liked. These fears can lead a free people to subjugate their own free will to a sort of social codependence that erodes their freedoms and weakens their very God-given soul. But when a long train of abuses, usurpations, oppression, and persistent censorship leaves them no alternative action to be taken, then it is their right, their duty, to throw off such suppression and their inhibitions. Today's Americans have spent so much time trying to prove who and what they are not, that they have forgotten who and what they are. That ends now. Therefore, we are resolved that from this moment forward, in declining our codependence upon those who do not hold to our truths, we shall break loose from the self-fitted chains and shackles of political correctness. We shall take back our language. No longer will we surrender words and phrases from our language to others. We will use the words we choose to use regardless of their contemporary characterization or classification by others. We shall not be made to condemn or apologize for the actions of others. Likewise, we will not be made to applaud or affirm the behavior of others. We will apologize only for our own actions when we feel it appropriate, and we will salute others only when we are personally so moved. We shall never deny our friendships or turn our backs on those of us who are being attacked by others simply because it is easier, convenient, or avoids confrontation. We shall, in accordance with the above, not hesitate to intervene in a situationally appropriate manner when we see one of our fellow citizens coming under attack. To turn away is to become complicit. We shall let those around us know that when they attack any one of us, they attack all of us. We will not tolerate the phrase, "but I didn't mean you." We shall embrace the classical notions of being masculine and feminine whenever and however we choose, and we shall not make excuses or issue apologies for so doing. We shall be skeptics at every turn when someone claims to be an expert or an authority or just following science. We shall not allow ourselves ever to use the excuse of, "I was just following orders," to serve as a reason for engaging in helping to silence or harm our fellow citizens. We shall not engage in defending ourselves when we are called racist, when we are called homophobic, when we are called privileged, when we are called xenophobic, or when we are labeled by anyone other than ourselves. We will not respond by giving examples of people we know or things we've done to prove what we are and what we are not. We do not need to justify ourselves or disprove baseless accusations to others. We will simply respond, "Your words, not mine." We shall embrace our faith in God if we possess such faith without reservation. We may wear it on our sleeves or we may keep it to ourselves. We will display our faith however we choose, and we will not deny the existence or importance of our faith for the sake of providing false comfort to others. We shall refuse to acknowledge the need for and legitimacy of safe spaces or microaggressions simply because someone else decides they are threatened or offended will not be a reason for us to question our beliefs, our words, or our actions. We shall call lies by their proper name, which is lies. We shall not give the benefit of the doubt to those who seek to silence us or control us by presuming they are of good intentions. We will take them at their word and assume they mean and intend exactly what they say. We shall take great care in using terms such as courage and bravery, understanding that those terms have become corrupted in their use to signify simple acts of hate and defiance. We know true courage and bravery when we see them, and we will not lose sight of them. We shall be unwavering and undeterred in proclaiming that the interests of American companies, workers, and citizens be placed above all other interests when it comes to matters of policy. And finally, we will look directly at God, ourselves, and another human being each and every day, and we will say, "I know who I am." We, therefore, the free people of the United States of America, do solemnly publish and declare our new independence by declining to be codependent upon those who seek to do us harm. There can be no harsher sentence served upon a people than that of being held prisoner to the approval of others. We recognize this is important. We recognize that in making this declination, we place ourselves at risk of various forms of reprisal. We do so knowing that the truest expression, the fulfillment of individual freedom, is the willingness to place that freedom at risk for the purpose of preserving it so that future generations of Americans might enjoy it. As we join this declination, we do so with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, and we mutually pledge to support each other with our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. That is the declination of codependence. That's the pledge that I will make to each and every one of you. I'm in the public eye. You can watch me. If you see me being interviewed, if you see me write something, if you see me betray any of those principles I just shared, I've got an email address. It's easy to find. Call me out. Hold me accountable. But let's try to hold ourselves accountable. And one last thing before I go. I wrote a piece back in January that caught international fire. It kind of surprised me. And it was about being in the role of a 21st century American dissident, arguing that our situation now is a lot like it was for the people like Lech Walesa and Alexander Solzhenitsyn and others. Talked about the struggle we face. Everybody here this week saw that struggle. You saw the struggle before you got here. You watched how this event was attacked and suppressed on social media. You saw people that thought maybe they shouldn't participate, people that changed their minds, people that walked away. Through it all, by the way, our host, Felissa, persevered against tremendous odds and at incredible cost and brought you all here today. So her courage can be matched by your courage. You have a good start because you showed up, and God love you for that, for standing up and showing up and not being talked out of showing up here this weekend. So that's a start. But what all of us have to do, is we have to think, what are we going to place at risk, like our host did, in putting this event together? Because if we don't put anything at risk, we won't be able to win, but we most certainly are going to lose. Thank you. God bless all of you.